Good morning and welcome to the Daily Tanya. Today is Wednesday, the 5th day of Tishrei. As we're getting closer to the holy day of Yom Kippur, we continue with the additional chapters of Tehillim we say every day. Today's chapters is 100, 101, and 102. Let's begin with Tzedakah. Gedaila Tzedakah, Shemekarev Esesa Geula. Tzedakah brings Mashiach closer. So we continue now this chapter 20 we started yesterday, a very deep chapter that the Alter Rebbe wrote, the essay he wrote in the days before he passed away, where the Alter Rebbe describes and explains the special value in the lower physical world. Although you would think that the value would be in the more spiritual worlds, the angels in heaven. And yet, Alter Rebbe explains, yes, even in the days, especially the days before he passed away, he gives us the explanation that this world is the ultimate value. And that was explained in Tanya before, that this is the ultimate desire, what Hashem wants. But here the Alter Rebbe comes to explain that also, not just because this is the desire of Hashem to have a home in this low world, but the very fact that such a world exists is only due to the Hashem's ability to bring His essence to create this physical world, something from nothing. To create something from nothing, this has to come from a higher place. And we explained yesterday the difference between everything in the world you have basically is evolving. There is a cause and effect for everything. You plant, the tree grows. People having children. You have emotions come as an effect of intellect. Everything has a direct link to its source. And this is something that the cause and the effect are related, and also the effect is nullified to the cause, meaning it realizes that he comes from its source. The only being that does not realize is the physical being. God created us using this power of creating something out of nothing. And so we feel independent. We don't feel that we come from something else. There is the quantum leap that is here in the creation of the physical world. And Alter Rebbe now goes on to explain. When we're saying that God created something from nothing, yesh me'ayin, and this is called creation. That is creation. Creation means something from nothing. But the truth is, if God is everywhere, how could it be nothing? How could it be something from nothing? The example that is used to show how we are completely nullified in the existence of our source is we use the example of the light of the sun. Now, the light of the sun, when you look outside and you see light, it seems like it's a separate thing. You don't necessarily see the light in its source. You see the sunlight as a separate thing. But when the sunlight is in the sun itself, there obviously it is completely nullified. But by Hashem, we use the same example, saying that we feel ourselves separate from Hashem, but Hashem is everywhere. And this Alter Rebbe is going to explain that this is a matter of perspective. It is in our perspective that Hashem allows us to feel ourselves as separate entities. This is in the power of Hashem that is able to do it. He's able to create something out of nothing. And again, that nothing is because it's in our perspective nothing. We don't understand what it is. But from Hashem's perspective, we really don't have our own self-existence. So let's see inside what the Alter Rebbe explains. Says the Alter Rebbe, V'yesh me'ayin nikra bria b'loshen HaKodesh. The coming about of substantiality, ex nihilo, yesh me'ayin, something from nothing, is in the holy tongue called Bria, creation. Bria is in the holy tongue. We know that the words in the holy tongue, in Lashon HaKodesh, in the Hebrew language, the words are not just words, they have words that have meaning. Every word is really connected with what this represents, unlike any other language. Other languages is just, it was man-made. People just chose words to describe things. In Hebrew, the words is the source of the thing. So Beria, when the Torah says Bereshis bara, in the beginning, God created using Beria, that means creation, something out of nothing. So the Alter Rebbe now poses the question. Now we say that the difference, what we spoke yesterday, that the difference between the involvement of a cause and effect is that the cause is the effect, whatever is affected, is nullified within the cause. When we have something from nothing, then the creation stands by itself. So the Alter Rebbe says, but wait a second. After all, in the presence of Hashem, the created being is also completely nullified. Because there's nothing, Hashem is everything in everywhere. So he says, "Vagam shayesh anivo gamken keloi chashiv mamish," and although created substance is also as naught before him, because everything, including the created yesh, the created being, the something, is as naught before him. And when we are saying that is nullified before him, before Hashem, Alter Rebbe goes on to say, not only is it when we're talking about in front of the of the essence of God, but as we explained yesterday, Hashem brought his light after condensing, and he drew what it's called the line of Ein Sof light into the worlds that he created. The world of Atzilus, the world of Beria, the world of Yetzirah. Atzilus is the world of emanation. And each world has the 10 attributes, the intellectual attributes and the emotive attributes. So Atzilus is the world of creation, Atzilus is the world of emanation, which is one with Hashem. Then you have the lower worlds, Beria, Yetzirah, Asiyah, but within them, it shines the light of the Kav, the line, so to speak, of the light that Hashem, the infinite light that Hashem drew, it shines in them, in these worlds. And they are the cause, they are the source of everything which is in this physical world. So when we're saying that it's nullified, that a physical being, the Yesha Nivra, the substance that is created, is nullified to its source, it's not only to the essence of the light of Hashem, it's also to the light that is in the 10 spheres, in the world of Atzilus Briya Yitzir Asiyah. There also, the physical being, the substance, is completely nullified. That is, it is essentially non-existence. And the Rebbe adds, not only in relation to God's essence, which utterly transcends worlds and creation, but also within creation, in relation to the energy and light that flows into it. מהכלים דיוצפירס דאצילס בריא יציר עשייה, שהקו אויר אין סוף ברוך הוא מאיר בהם. So this force and light deriving from the kelim of the 10 sephiros of Atzilus, Briya, Yitzira, and Asiya. The kelim is the vessels, as we explained yesterday. There is the light and there's the vessels. The light is the energy, the light of Hashem, which is undefined. The vessels is the way that it forms, gives identities to the light, that the light is, so some light, some energies received its identity, whether it is chesed or gevura, and so on. So but within all of them, there shines the endless light into which the kav of the infinite Ein Sof light radiates. Ukeziva shemesh b'shemesh. And thus the degree of nullification of created beings is like that of the sun ray, while still in its source within the sun. As explained in Likutei Amorim, the Tanya chapter, part 2, there we learned in the Shar Yichud Ve'emunah, we learned about this. As the Rebbe Hainu Kamei Davke, Sheyedioso Yizborech Milemayla Lemata. The Rebbe answers, however, this is only before him, as seen from the heavenly perspective. It's called the Das Elyon, from which God knows creation. His knowledge, perceiving from above, netherward. So from seeing it from Hashem's perspective, we are nothing. But seeing from our own perspective, we feel that we are something. From Hashem's perspective, everything is within Hashem. It's like, for example, you look at this kind of glass that is from one side is a mirror, and from the other side it is a window. You can see through. You can look through. So you're looking from the mirror, from the side of the mirror, what do you see? You see yourself. You don't see something else. From the other side, you see the other. From Hashem's side, Hashem sees us as part of Him. From our side, we see ourselves. We don't see anything. There is the blackage that blocks us from seeing the real thing. But as seen from the earthbound perspective, das Tachten, the perspective of the one below, of created beings, with a knowledge that perceives from below upwards. Created yesh is an altogether separated thing in this knowledge and apprehension from below. And the Alter Rebbe goes on to say that the light and the force that creates us, this is something that is completely incomprehensible. We don't understand it. But not only that, it is also not even to compare. It is, our existence is a different existence. We don't have it's not a similar existence at all. And meaning that the creation from something from nothing, Hashem creates us, but we don't have the ability to understand, to comprehend where we come from. And also the existence, unlike when we talk about the cause and effect, yes, there is different levels. There is the source and there is the effect. And obviously the root, the cause, is in a much higher level than the effect. But yet they're connected to each other. They can understand, and you can see where it's coming from. And there is an approximation between them. There's a closeness, a relation. You can draw a line from point A to point B. But here, it is completely not incomprehensible. We don't understand. And there is it's a whole different being. The physical being, the spiritual being, like you're going to say, you're going to create from a spiritual idea, create a physical rock. You can't. It's a different being. Even though there is a proximity between an idea and a rock, because they're all within our framework. Here we're talking about godliness and the physical world, and that is totally, there is no relation, no approximation at all. That's what Alter Rebbe continues. For the force that creates it and continuously flows into it is not understood by the created being at all. Moreover, there is no approximation whatsoever from one to another, from one to the other, from the yesh to the ein. Neither does the relation between them partially or minimally resemble the approximation between the effect and its cause. The effect and the cause has a connection, has a relation. For the olul, the effect, knows and has some apprehension of its ilah, of its source. And it becomes nullified in relation to it, to the ilah, through this knowledge and apprehension. So, but a yesh, by contrast, there's absolutely no apprehension of the ein that is responsible for its creation. And that's why we are not nullified. So these 2 points that Alter Rebbe says about the creation of the yesh me'ayin, number one, it's not, we cannot understand the connection. And number two, there is a totally different type, there is no relation. Those 2 points bring out explains the concept that we are here. Number one, the fact that he mentions that there is no approximation at all, that gives us understanding that we are really here. It's not just an illusion. When we say God created us, yesh, and you say everything is nullified within God, so are we real or are we an illusion? And then says, of course we are real, because God wanted so. And he created us, although we are completely in a different type. We're not in the same, there's no connection to us. but yet God is able to do it and created us in reality. And at the same time, also, the fact that we don't understand it gives us also our work to work on ourselves and realize that and think about this and bring ourselves to nullify to Hashem through the understanding of this concept that how far Hashem and our source, the source of the Yesh, is way beyond and above everything in this world. Again, going back to the cause and effect, says the Alter Rebbe, וגם במאוסם ועצמוסם אין הפרש גודל כל כך, רק שזה אילה וזה עולו. Even with respect to their intrinsic nature and essence, there is not such a great distinction between an ilah and an olo, except that one is the cause and the other is the effect. Yet this distinction, neither partially nor minimally, resembles the distinction between the essence of the created substance and the essence of the energy and light that flow into it to create it from Ayin to Yesh, from nothing to something. Velochein nikro Yesh me'ayin dafka. This is why creation is called precisely Yesh me'ayin, ex nihilo, something out of nothing. For although even the created Yesh is aware that everything derives from you, it nevertheless calls its source Ayin, nothing, for the two above mentioned reasons. The source does not exist in the limited world of the creature's comprehension, and it does not exist in the same manner as the Yesh. It doesn't exist in our mind, and it doesn't exist in the same way. That is why it's called Yesh Me'ayin. And what is interesting is that we're talking about these two views, these two perspectives. We called the Das Elyon and Das Tachta, and the perspective of the higher perspective, or the perspective from above, and the perspective from below. It is based on the verse that says, Keil Deis Hashem. God is the God of perspectives, of Deis, plural. Based on that, they say that this is the Deya, this Das Elyon and Das Tachta, and that's the way it explains and considers a lot. But the fact that it says that God is Keil Deis, it is God of the perspectives, it means that even the perspective from below is also a perspective, God's perspective, which means that we are real, that Hashem created us, and we are the ultimate purpose of creation, to have our perspective, that we see ourselves as separate entities, and yet to be able to completely nullify ourselves, to the one above. That is our mission in life. Our mission in life is to find God within ourselves, within the world, and that's what we do. So we'll continue, B'ezrat Hashem, this deep chapter in the next few days. We'll see you tomorrow, B'ezrat Hashem. All the best.